Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. First of all, before I even start the program today, I want to thank all of our donors, every single one of our donors, for your support for the station. Now, this is the one time that I didn't quite make my particular quota because I was, of course, out of town one week, and that's just how things go sometimes. Now, folks, thank you so kindly for all those contributions for the pledge week, the pledge month that we had. It went pretty well. We could have done a bit better, but we know that you guys are going to continue going to kpft.org to continue your great support, the support that you've always presented to this station. But we are back to programming. We are back. We are back on air with a full program. Our phones, Don is telling me that they may not be working quite right now. So I guess that means you're going to hear a hell of a lot of me. But you know what? We have so much material to go over. It's important. And I tell you what, I am following you on Facebook Live. If you go to our Facebook Live page, Politics Done Right, you can actually, I'll be looking at those messages that come across, and I'll be answering them as we go if you have questions that you want to talk about, folks. Because I tell you what, this is serious business. What occurred on Tuesday was serious business. The narrative that you're hearing on TV, let me tell you guys, it is wrong. The narrative on TV is wrong. That was a blowout on Tuesday, and it's not done yet. But the idea is nobody wants you to figure that. They want you to believe that in as much as the resistance placed a huge effort, the resistance worked. Indivisible, Pantsuit Republic, Swing Left, over and over, and I've missed a ton of them. The resistance worked. They activated people never activated before. Just today, another House seat flipped because, you know, there are a whole lot of new voters that came into the fold. They didn't necessarily know how things worked. And some of them had to do provisional ballots. Some of them had to do write-in ballots, all these different permutations that occurred. So a lot of votes that you heard about, they're not yet counted. So as things are going right now, other seats are being turned. We are up to, I think, 32 or 33 seats right now and counting. So let me tell you, it was, in fact, a blue wave. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that a little bit later, but here we go. The title of the program today is Do Not Follow Trump's Lead. We won. There was a blue wave. Subtitle of the show today, President Trump said he and Republicans were victorious in midterm 2018. The truth is, that's a fallacy. It is imperative, however, that progressives and Democrats keep the narrative straight. Why is it that I'm so concerned about narrative? Why is it that I am so concerned about telling folks we have to get the narrative right, and we cannot allow folks to make it seem as if the success was not really there? We cannot allow that because there are a lot of millennials that came in. There are a lot of Gen Zs that came in. There are a lot of older Gen Xs, younger Gen Xs that came into the fold, folks that had never voted before. Even here in Texas, we had 400,000 people who hadn't voted before. That's the only reason the difference between Ted Cruz and Beto O'Rourke was 200,050 or so votes. Only reason. Because remember, elections in Texas based on the people who vote, because, you know, we have a tendency not to encourage people to vote here. But based on those numbers, Beto O'Rourke should have been blown away by over 1 million votes, several million votes, but he wasn't. He came close. And you know what? The resistance did its job. But guess what? At 250,000 votes, with a few other precincts in, with a few more precincts coming in, think about what could have been. But you know, we learn. So we don't feel bad about what occurred. We learn. We learn what we need to do. We learned that the message of hate the president came to Houston and gave worked in rural areas because it was broadcast all over. So it worked. So we need to now find ways to mitigate the hate. And those are the things we learn. People look at it as like, well, you know what? We didn't win in Florida. Gillum didn't win. Stacey Abrams didn't win. Senator Nelson didn't win. First of all, the Senator Nelson, Gillum, and Abrams race, they are not over yet. There's still a pathway to win, assuming that all those votes that are stacked up. Bobby Rodrigo sent me a picture with all the votes, hundreds of thousands of votes that yet remain uncounted in Florida. He sent me the picture in these warehouses where all those votes are. So we don't know what the outcome of those votes are going to be. But just as a matter of information, the screen in here is dead. Okay, good. Just as a matter of information, folks, there's still a lot of votes to be counted. California is probably going to be counting for a month, but we are constantly flipping seats. We just flipped another one. We just flipped another seat in Georgia. Why? Because the woman who came out for gun control, she thought she had lost her race. They called it for the Republican. Guess what happened? And I just posted that. Guess what happened? She won. When they got all those other mail-in ballots in from people who normally don't vote, she won. So, folks, this was a blowout. But anyway, let me go ahead and start the program as follows. Democrats and progressives, hey, there we go. Phones are back. So when we're taking calls, you can call 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. So the phones are back. Welcome. Dr. Thesis here. We also have Daniel Lado, my favorite Republican. And of course, there is Michael Rudnin and a few others. Matthew Thielman, welcome aboard. If I miss you, it's because you scroll, but that's okay. I'll try to keep abreast of you. Now, anyhow, Democrats and progressives had a big win, yet it seems that Democrats are succumbing to the president's narrative, if not literally with their attitudes. It is important that we understand what is happening, and not only that we understand what is happening, we must understand why it is happening. Anyhow, the real story keeps getting better, folks. It will take more than voter suppression. And yes, there was a wave. In sheer volume, there were at least 10%. This was as of earlier on, 10% more progressive Democratic votes than there were Republican votes that came out to vote. Okay, 10%. Now, earlier today, according to 538, they said by the time all the votes are counted, it will be 7 to 8%. My theory is that it's going to remain 10%, but we'll see what the final numbers come out to be. But folks, remember, the engineered Republican control is a constitutional flaw. The Republican engineered, or rather the engineered Republican control of our government right now is a constitutional flaw. Don't you let anyone tell you otherwise. You will have people trying to say, oh, well, they worked at it and that's why the Republicans constantly win. They use up. No, it's a constitutional flaw. That's an absolute statement. That a senator from a state with 1 million people has the same power as one representing tens of millions is anti-democratic, irrespective of the founders' intent. You know, the founders wanted states to have some kind of a equal representation on some level and then popular representation in the House. That was the theory then. That was when we didn't have communications as we had. That was when we had real federalism. But as it is, real federalism is at this point in our history is academic, right? Why? People move between states like anything. They take a flight, they take a drive, they decide they're going to get an apartment here. A company transfers them from one state to the other. It makes absolutely no sense. And it is imperative that you change your laws, you change things based on how your society currently is. So right now, as it turns out, the Constitution can be abused, or the flaws in the Constitution are being abused by whom? Our current Republican Party. Anyhow, continuing. Remember, the engineered Republican control is a constitutional flaw. That a senator from a state with 1 million people has the same power as one representing tens of millions is antidemocratic. Also, that gerrymandering means one party must get at least 6% more votes for a similar outcome is a flaw in our representative democracy. And if you are going to comment about we are a republic, I bet you will have a different argument if you were the one antidemocratically aggrieved. Moreover, I bet if you were the one, if you were a woman and having to go through hoops to get laws your way, I bet you wouldn't say the same thing. So I don't want to hear about this is a protection against the tyranny of the majority. Hell, that is the reason we have a Bill of Rights. That's what one of the commenters, when I placed this statement on Facebook, said. They said, "You must not understand the tyranny of the majority." Yes, I do understand the tyranny of the majority, and that's why we have a Bill of Rights. I am originally from Central America. For that person who said that, for somebody who became a citizen, who had to study American law, who had to study to pass a citizen test, you as a born American should know that. Or if you don't know that, at least not make a silly comment implying that those of us trying to make this a better country, those of us who are trying to keep equity, those of us who are trying to make this a true democracy, instead of coming in here and trying to disrupt that, do your homework, please, my dear brothers and sisters. Anyhow, folks, know we are working on options that do not require the impossibility of a constitutional amendment to mitigate these types of aberrations. At this point in our history, absent ingenious ways around our constitutional flaws and a Supreme Court that is the ward of the plutocracy, we would become but some quasi-feudal system, as we are all relegated to indentured servitude. But anyhow, folks, before I get to the program, I want to remind all our listeners that KPFT is a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist myself, my favorites are Think Wing Radio with
Mike Honig on Mondays at 2.
And of course, there is Open Journal with
Dwayne Bradley and crew on Mondays at 6 p.m.
And we have Jazz Latino, Afro-Cuban Latin Jazz at its best, hosted by
Juan Flores on Tuesdays at noon.
And then we have Gen Asian Radio, a weekly radio program featuring an eclectic mix of Asian underground, Bagra, Bollywood, and funk, Hindi, where ancient sounds meet future beats. And that is when again?
Thursdays, noon to 2 p.m.
Great program, guys. If you listen today, you see why it is a program you must be listening to. Great, great, great program. Anyhow, really, but not really, a hip-hop and R&B parody show on
Wednesdays at 10 by Don and Joe.
And of course, right after this show, the music that you must hear called Border Radio, Best of Americana Music, featuring
Susan Darrow, right after Politics Done Right at 4 p.m.
And then there's Black on Both Sides, a public affairs program where with the effort to highlight politics and public affairs in line with our individual and collective worldview. That is
Fridays, noon to 2 p.m. on HD2.
Okay, folks, please remember, check out our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is listener-supported public community radio station, so please remember that if you like what you hear, visit kpft.org and ensure we remain a strong, viable community radio station that provides news, programming, and information not influenced by whom?
The corporatocracy.
Absolutely, my brothers and sisters. So what are your thoughts? I'm going to be taking calls, but we want to go strictly to the blog of the week. I'm going to read the blog of the week quickly today because I see I already have some calls to come in, so I'm going to do it rather quickly. So, folks, do you know what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, folks, I'm going to be really quick on this because I want to get to the phones. I know you guys are anxious to talk, and we haven't been with you for a long time. Love you guys for sticking with us. Anyhow, folks, the country is divided. The title of the blog of the week, we must not be complicit in Trump's distortion of the huge Democratic midterm 2018 win. The country is divided into pseudo-ideological lines. As such, discerning reality by the lowest information makes altering implanted beliefs, subliminal or otherwise, much more difficult. And it is that realization that makes Democratic midterm 2018 a bigger success than it seems. Early on election day, I started calling indivisible Houston activists in the field. I wanted to find out if there were any anomalies at any polling location so I could visit and report on it. One directed me to an activist with a dual role with the party and several activist groups. I texted her, all the problems from this morning are cleared up, but if you want something to do, come phone bank with us, is what she told me. When I got to the Harris County Democratic Party war room, there were dozens of people diligently calling people and urging them to vote. We were calling right up to the closing of the polls at 7 p.m. Central. It was party time now. Hundreds of activists, supporters, and politicians converged at a huge party. The early morning on the candidates, the traditional mainstream media viewed as important, were very positive. But as the night went on, the races in Georgia and Florida started severely underperforming the polls. It was evident Gillum, Nelson, and Abrams were in trouble, but Beto O'Rourke was still overperforming, raising the excitement level with every update. Even though at the time, Harris County and El Paso County had not dropped yet, O'Rourke was up by several points. It turned quickly for a while, but when Harris County dropped, all was good again. Then something happened. More rural areas started dropping, and they ate the gains from the big urban and suburban areas. With over 8 million, Beto was short about 250,000 votes. The watch party seemed deflated. I could not understand why. By then, we knew we won the House. Moreover, the indivisible Houston and other indivisible swing left pantsuit Republic, Black Lives Matter activists, and others in Harris County were extremely successful. These guys busted their butts. They were successful. The HCDP woman, that's the Harris County Democratic Party chairwoman, came out and congratulated all the winners in Harris County, with everyone in the room cheering at the top of their lungs. Afterwards, the doldrums seemed to return. Some were upset with the possible Bradley effect in the Stacey Abrams and Andrew Gillum races. Some were upset that O'Rourke missed a Democratic win by just north of 200,000 votes, a number not hard to get in a state this big. The largest pool of potential votes is from the non-voters who definitely have progressive proclivities. I spent the time cheering up some of the activists' friends and cohorts, but on my drive home, I had a sinking feeling. We just had a huge win. The win was big. It was huge. It was large. Yet, because of how much was being characterized by the traditional mainstream media, it was as if we missed our target. We did not. Our target was to win the House of Representatives and local races. Anything else was icing on the cake. When I woke up Wednesday, I wrote the following post on Facebook. I said the following: congratulations, Democrats and progressives. You won, and you won big. Do not allow any narrative other than one of big successful fruition of hard-fought campaigns. Nationally, we won the House and netted at least 7 governorships. We elected an unprecedented number of women. We made a statement in Trump's ethno-racist America by electing 2 Muslim women. We turned at least 6 state legislatures blue. 3 red states demanded the Medicaid expansion to Obamacare. They voted for it. Several states voted in favor of recreational marijuana and medical marijuana and an increased minimum wage. After our step backward with Donald Trump, we have taken many steps forward. Our mainstream media continues to group think and work as a staged production. They decided that Stacey Abrams, Andrew Gillum, Beto O'Rourke, and Bill Nelson were the bellwether for the midterm 2018. We would have loved for every one of them to win, but in the grand scheme of things, those were acceptable and probable losses. I live in Harris County, Texas. While Beto O'Rourke lost our state race by a few percentage points, his energy activated our Latinos, millennials, Gen Zs, and others for a clean sweep of virtually all positions of consequence in the county. These positions have a direct impact on every Harris County resident's everyday life. As an example of our success in this very diverse county, the most powerful politician in Harris County is now Lina Maria Hidalgo, a woman, a Latina, an immigrant from Colombia who paid her dues in her grassroots service. And by the way, she was interviewed here at KPFT Politics Done Right several times. So folks, let's lift our heads. Let's not succumb to a narrative that attenuates the sweetness of our success. We have activated populations that were either apathetic or thought they did not make a difference or that no one cared about. Again, you won, and you won big. Now work to make it not only lasting, but growing. Our work has just begun. While Donald Trump was busy lying at his press conference as he characterized midterm 2018 as a win for Republicans, liberals were on TV underwhelming the great accomplishments of activists and party loyalists. The narrative should be that Democrats and progressives won big. In Texas alone, as reported by Hinojosa, the Texas party chairman, he said the following: Texas Democrats flipped two U.S. House districts with the election of Lizzie Flick and Colin Allred, with one race too close to call. Texas Democrats made history by sending the first two Latinas to Congress with election of Sylvia Garcia and Veronica Aguilar. Texas Democrats flipped 2 seats in Texas Senate. Texas Democrats picked up 12 seats in the Texas House with 3 races that are too close to call. Texas Democrats swept Bexar County, Fort Bend County, and Harris while holding Democratic strongholds along the Rio Grande Valley and in El Paso, Dallas, and Travis County. Texas Democrats made huge gains in suburban Tarrant, Hayes, and Williamson counties. Texas Democrats flipped the DA races in Fort Bend, Bexar, and Dallas counties. Texas Democrats swept 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 13th, and 14th Court of Appeals. We flipped the 3rd and 14th courts, ushering a new era of fairness and justice in Texas. Democrats made progress in many of the red states like Kansas. Progressive ballot initiatives continue their march from marijuana to the Medicare expansion to Obamacare to returning the votes to felons who served their time. Democrats had a great night. We did not win all of the traditional mainstream media marquee races they chose to use as their bellwether for success, but we won where it mattered. Most importantly, it provided us with enough learning to modify our winning scheme for 2020. So folks, lift your heads up. Let's not succumb to a narrative that attenuates the sweetness of our success. We have activated populations that were either apathetic or thought they did not make a difference or that no one cared about. Again, you won, and you won big. Now work to make it not only lasting, but growing. Our work has just begun. Folks, telephone number is 713-526-5738, and more slowly, 713-526-5738. Okay, folks, before I take the first call, I want to remind you that there's a big rally today at City Hall. Be there between, I think it's at 5 p.m. that it starts at City Hall. 5 p.m. That is it is a rally against the firing of Jeff Sessions and what that means. And people may say, well, Jeff Sessions, we don't particularly like Jeff. That's not what it's all about. What it's all about, folks, is the implications of the firing of Jeff Sessions and who was hired, Whitaker, who was hired in his place, and what it means to the investigation of Donald Trump. And later on, I'm going to want to talk about our Congress and some of the things that I think they should do and shouldn't do. But beforehand, since I got folks on the call, I'm going to take línea número 2. Come on in, line 2. How are you doing today? Okay, that is Scott. Come on in, Scott.
Hi, thank you. Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes. I did a book review on the Amazon website of a book, 52 Reasons to Vote for Hillary. And I said she had a good agenda, but an ambitious one. I doubted it could be done all in 8 years. And I said it would require much public support and interest, and it is not public support to elect a Republican Congress 2 years after electing a Democratic president.
Right.
Yeah. I believe in putting the public more behind the 8 ball. So many people, political activists, are putting the Democratic Party leaders behind the 8 ball.
Yes, I hear what you're saying. When you say the 8 ball, exactly what do you mean?
Behind the 8 ball? Oh, let's see. I don't really understand. It's a pool game. I don't really understand it, but if you're behind, if your ball is 8 balls, you're in danger of losing.
Right. Well, look,
Yeah.
well, Scott, I got what you're saying. Look, thank you so kindly for your call, my brother. And listen to the rest of the show. We got some interesting stuff to talk about. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day now.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Let's go to line number. Which one was next? Number 1. Come on in, Richard.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
So I got an opinion. I'm going to tell you something that you already know, and then I'm going to give you an opinion of why.
Okay.
And then I'll hang up, and I'll listen to your opinion of my opinion.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, yeah.
Yes.
You know, if people, yeah, okay, 13% of 18 to 29-year-olds voted.
Yes.
Okay, you already know all this.
Yes.
And if they pay attention, if people pay attention, I mean, the concept of this country only works, and has only worked since it began, is people paid attention and vote accordingly.
Right.
Okay, the fact that the youth don't vote, I mean, they know from 18 to 29, they can tell you all about the defense of the Texans and Cowboys.
Right.
And they know it backwards and forwards, the statistics. And if they would, you know, here again, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. If they would pay attention to what's going on in their lives, in the world, in the country, they would have just as much knowledge and care about it just as much.
Right.
Here's my opinion on the reason why they don't. And it just came to me this morning because I was so frustrated over that. And I've been talking to them for months now.
Mm-hmm.
And can't get them to get interested to vote. Okay. When they're indoctrinated, you know, if children have an innate sense of feeling like everything's going to take care of itself because
Right.
they're indoctrinated to think that from the beginning. God loves you. God knows what's going on. God's going to take care of you. As long as you believe in him, he's going to believe in you, and he knows exactly what's going on. It's not our question. It's not our place to question why he has these things happen and blah, blah, blah. So when it's a subconscious logical thing that's going on in their head that, wow, why should I vote then if that's the case? If everything's going to take care of itself anyway. It's subconscious. It's subconscious. But I think that it's there. I think and by the time they're 29 and 30, then they start realizing, well, maybe not so much.
Okay,
I think that's my opinion of why.
And I'm going to answer that opinion because I don't completely agree with your opinion, but I think your opinion also has a very large amount of merit. So I'm going to answer you that. I'm going to take you off air now, and I'll answer that. And here it goes, my brother. First of all, you're correct that we are indoctrinated. And here's how the indoctrination goes, my brother. It goes as follows. There's this long time ago, there was this stuff called the Powell Manifesto. And the Powell Manifesto's intent is as people became more progressive, or rather more intelligent, they became more progressive. That people went to school and they learned civics, and they learned how the government worked, and they learned how the economies worked, and they learned about capitalism. They learned about all these other isms. They learned these things, and they started asking themselves questions. And they started to say, wait a minute. Why am I working for peanuts? Why am I participating in something that doesn't work? Why? They start asking all these questions. A lot of the people, I hang around a lot of millennials, a lot of Gen Zs. And the real reason that they don't vote is they think the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are both going to screw them. And they also believe that why bother? And some of it is what you said as well, which is things are going to turn out okay because they always have. But Don, real quickly, Don, because I want to finish my thought, but I saw you shaking your head violently. Tell me what you want to say.
No, I think the problem is they don't think everything is going to turn out okay. They're going to think they think that everything is just going to keep being worse for the younger people because nobody talks to them.
Okay, I gather what you said, and actually,
it's not everything that's going to be okay.
Okay, I'm more in your. No. Let me tell you, I'm with you there. I'm with you.
Horrible.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said it's all going to be okay.
Well, that was his line.
No, but what I said is I agreed with him, and I didn't want to specifically. Notice I said I want to straighten this up because this is an important concept. It's not that everything is going to be all right, but it's that they'll survive, and it's going to be whatever it is. It's going to be whatever it is, and that is coming from a whole lot of folks that I hang with. Again, the Gen Zs, the millennials. But here's the deal. There is a group of these guys that are activated. I can show you these guys that are running in. I am in a lot of these organizations. And one of the things I make sure not to do is not to take a position. I make sure as the older person to be just mostly a consultant, if you will, and watch the youth take over and do things, new ideas. That is what, if you want to see these guys activated, you put them in control, you put them in command, and you see what starts to happen. That is what has to be done. That is what has to be done. But anyhow, let's go to, oh boy. Barry, I know what this call is going to be like already. My brother Barry, talk to me.
I'm not your brother, but I want to congratulate the Democrats on their victory. It is a robust democracy.
Yes.
Democrats played this game better, played it smarter.
Mm-hmm.
They finally came out in the midterm. We were not expecting that. And they learned how to raise some serious money, too.
Yes.
So my hat's off to them for playing the game better. But I think you are a little premature in that you won big. You don't have a single statewide office in Texas. We still have the Senate and the White House and the courts.
Yes.
So I don't know how you define it big, a small B or a large B.
No. When I say win big, you see, you're limiting your scope to Texas. I limit my scope to
I
the
said
country.
we have the Senate and the White House and the courts.
Yeah, well,
and we have more governorships and more state houses.
Well, let me tell you something. First of all, we have the people, and here's what I mean by that.
People.
If you count our governors and count your governors, and then you calculate how much people are represented by those, you lost.
State is a state. All states have one governor.
But brother, my claim is absolute. But anyway, let's go to the next point. Go ahead.
One thing that, I was done with that, but I wanted to comment on something you said a few months back about.
Yes.
You were technically opposed to illegal immigration.
Yes.
But if an illegal alien got past the border patrol, he could stay.
Absolutely.
Now, how is that different? Okay, even though the act is illegal.
Right.
How is that different from bank robbers saying that if we get past the guards and get the money, we'll get to keep it?
Barry, I always knew you as a very smart person. We differ.
No, I'm asking you to tell me
I'm going to be quiet. My dear brother, please be quiet, as I was quiet listening to you. Okay, here we go. First of all, I gave a reason why I believe once somebody gets over here, if they were intelligent enough and savvy enough to get over here, I will do, unless they're a thief, thug, or whatever, I would do nothing to get rid of them. In fact, I would try to find some sort of a way to legalize. That's my opinion. That's not the opinion of the Democratic Party. That's not the opinion of all these things. That is my opinion. And let me tell you where that opinion came from, my morality. And from what I think it's the only, and it's the only moral answer that we should have. And here's the reason why. America came into being on a sin. Phone's ringing. America came into being as a sin.
Okay.
Barry,
right to come here.
Barry, I'm not done.
No, you give me a history.
Barry, I'm not done. But Barry, be respectful. I'm not done. I was respectful.
No, I'm not going to sit here and let you give me a history lesson on what my question was
Barry,
whether or not the bank robbers got.
Barry, your question was silly. It's a silly question, my dear brother. It's a silly question, and you know it. You're too intelligent to not know that it's a silly question. Anyhow, Barry, I'm going to ask you to hold, or I'm going to have to do what I never do, and because I want to make the point I'm trying to make, okay? And the point is this. Given the history of how America was formed, given the history that America came here themselves as illegal aliens, all right? I am not ever, as a person, if somebody's ingenious enough to get over here, I'm not going to just try and federalize that, and not federalize that, but criminalize that behavior. Okay, so you can do as you please. Thank you so kindly, for Barry. But we are going to go to the next one. All right, let's go to line number 4. That is Samuel. Come on in. Okay, Samuel.
Hello.
Yes, sir. You're on.
Yeah, Alberto.
Yes, sir.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Look, I did a math. I knew they've been saying Texas is a red state, but I teach in a college. And I know that if you take all the most populated cities in Texas, the Democrats have more people than the Republicans.
Yes, that is correct.
Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, El Paso, and the rest.
Yes.
Now, unless Democrats insist on two things. First, anytime you vote, there should be a paper
Right.
so that your vote went to where you intended it to be.
Right.
Because I voted here, I'm in Southeast, I don't want to call the city,
Mm-hmm.
and the voting machine was behaving funny.
Yes.
My wife also voted. She came to tell me the same thing.
Yes.
And then secondly, there have been consistent attempts to make voting difficult. In a democracy, voting, look, I'm an immigrant.
Right.
I came here, I went to school and all that. I appreciate the system.
Yes.
But voting should be very easy. But in a situation where they are trying to make voting difficult and less people vote,
Yes.
that's not a democracy.
Let me explain something to you, my dear friend. The registration to vote and all of that is by design, right? It has nothing to do with, we want to make sure there's not voter fraud or whatever. It is the reality that what they want to do is they want to make sure that if any time they have to clamp down voting, they can. Okay? That is all it's about. It's about if our democracy gets too democratic, that the powers that be would be able to control the vote. That is what it's all about. Nobody tells you that. But you have to sit down and ask yourself things like, why would with today's technology, why do we have to have voter registration in the first place? You should not have to have voter registration. You should just have to have a valid ID. And you plug that ID in, and that valid ID is absolute, right?
In my case, for example, let me tell you.
Yes.
When I was going to vote, there was this dude. When I was speaking, he thought I was speaking in accent.
Right.
And he was asking, are you qualified to vote? I asked him, did you ask that why do there? If you don't get out of my way, you'll be in trouble. That's what I told him. I'm educated and intelligent enough to know the tricks.
Right.
But others will be put away by such questions. But it's very important. I'm telling you, unless we find out, we insist that whenever we vote, we must get a receipt, a paper to show that this is where vote went.
Samuel,
I'm telling you.
You are correct, my friend. I agree with you. We need to have audit trails for voting. You're absolutely correct. And we also need to make voting easier. For me, the closest thing I like is same-day registration, but I don't even think you should need registration. If you have an absolute piece of paper that says you're a person that is legally registered as a citizen, and if you want to have a citizen feel on your driver's license, that should suffice as well.
Beto, the problem with your suggestion is that those organizing the vote, they must know the number of people coming in to be able to present the sufficient ballot boxes. And
that is a valid, sir. I never thought. I'm thank you for telling me about that. I never thought about that one.
Yes.
But let me just say, under my scenario, however, you have polling places anywhere, right? And it's independent. Since anybody can vote, it should be independent of, the computer systems can do the rearranging. In other words, I won't want to have people have to vote in one particular precinct, but I have a lot of calls coming in, so I got to take care. But, you just taught me something that I hadn't thought about before, my friend. So thank you so kindly, and you have a wonderful day.
Thank you, and keep on the good work.
Thank you, sir. All right. Let's see. Line number, which one should I go to? Is that 5 or 2? Because I think 5 was there. Yeah, 5. Okay. Let's go. John, come on in.
Hey, what are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, my friend. Talk to me.
Three quick things.
Yes, sir.
As a Republican, I can't stand the far right using the identical politics.
Sure.
What disturbs me about the left on this one was I have hardly ever heard about the issues, but I kept on hearing about this Latina, Muslims, women.
Right.
You guys are also turning into identity politics here. And I was a little bit disturbed about that.
Before you go to your other point, can I respond to that real quickly?
Sure.
Okay. I believe in identity politics. And let me tell you why I do believe in identity politics. Identity politics is an honest politics that says there are certain realities that Black people face in this country that others don't. There are certain realities that women face in this country that other people don't. There are certain realities that Latinos face in this country that other people don't. So if you try to deny identity, what I think actually happens, my friend, is that you deny these people the grievances that they have that we need to resolve. At some point in America's future, and that is my hope. That's what I work to, because, if for anybody who reads my blogs, I know for a fact that race is just a social construct. This stuff about race is stupid. So race is a social construct. We're all the same, and I can give you some other things, but it's beyond the scope of this show right now. But that said, I want eventually to get away from identity politics, but right now it's not the time. Okay, go with the other point, my friend.
Okay. Second is, I kept on hearing you keep on saying illegal aliens. I know we talked about this before. I know you're
I hate that word, yeah.
And I know, and I hate that word because Spain conquered over there Panama.
Exactly.
So to say that illegal, I mean, almost everybody has conquered one another.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
Say the white people that come to this country was illegal aliens, or they did it. I mean, that is a guilt tally done by all countries.
Yes. I did that as a sort of a shocker thing to say, if you want to be able to call these other people illegal, maybe you should think twice because others would call you the same as well. But you're right that it's a conquering thing and people conquer, and that's just how life has been. As we become more intelligent, I think this conquering stuff should be eliminated out of our modus operandi. Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Third is, as a Republican, I've been hearing this so many times. What Barry says about illegal aliens. I think what I don't like about the fact is people displace the anger towards certain people, and my deal is, I think if you're really upset about this, is to be angry at the government for not doing anything about it for over 40 years. The president, the Senate, the House, it was their deal to do something about it.
Brother, you are such a smart man. I mean, you're a Republican, you're a smart man. Keep up the good work and keep calling, keep coming to our station, etc. Because that is how the dialogue is what's going to move us forward, brother. It's a dialogue that's going to move us forward. But you're right. It is the government that hasn't had a clean policy on immigration. You know what mine would be? Not open borders, but control borders. But I mean, I had a friend of mine out there in Kingwood who is a Trumpist. And we came to a realization that, we actually want to do something about immigration, both of us, and we're from the different side of the spectrum. And I placed I asked him to write a paper to say what he wanted to say, and I put the blog on my site, and it did well. It even did well at Daily Coast, which means there is some room where we can actually negotiate. There are some rooms where we can get things together. Anything else you want to add real quick, John?
A quick note is that the thing about illegal aliens, I'm so tired of just about the border, the South, Mexico.
Right.
We do have a lot of illegal immigrants come from, per se, like China, India,
Canada.
I mean, if they talk about illegal immigrants, you need to bring everybody in. You can't just talk about the border.
And that's why we need, I'm assuming, ¿tú eres Latino? Are you Latino?
No, sir, I'm an Asian.
Okay, the reason I was going to ask that is because a lot of times that is what happens. Once you're Latino, it's something you have to worry about that, but no other, qualification falls under that. But look, thank you so kindly again, John, from calling, and you keep up the good work, okay?
All right, thanks. Take care.
All right, my man. All right, let's go to línea número 2. Come on in, Johnny.
Hey.
Man, I missed you, Johnny.
I
missed you. How have you been?
Did you hear me?
Yes, I said I missed you. I hadn't heard what you said.
I said, I hope you voted.
Yes, I did.
Okay. When I was listening to our friend Barry.
Yes.
And he kept cutting you off, talking over you, even though you gave him the courtesy of space.
Right.
His comeback to you was basically he didn't care.
Yes.
And that made me think about this most recent offense by Donald Trump with that reporter from CNN.
Yes.
And then the way he calls him, he projects onto the CNN reporter and the other reporters, for that matter,
yes.
the things that he himself is exactly guilty of,
yes.
calling him rude and all this other stuff. When he's the one that calls people names, he's the one, even Megyn Kelly, he called her bleeding from her, whatever,
right.
all this kind of disrespectful stuff. And he's not obnoxious, he's not crude. And why I'm bringing this up is because I think what Donald Trump in the White House with his crudeness and his boorishness is doing is encouraging people to behave more like this. Even people like Barry, who we thought could be no more than that, even he's getting more obnoxious.
Right.
I think it's time we get rid of both Trump and Pence. We declare a national emergency and disregard the way the rule of law is set up and create our own rule of law as an emergency. The people have to do it. They have to force Congress to do it. There's no other way to do it unless you want to have civil strife break out demanding it.
Well, we have to hope to avoid civil strife. I mean, a lot of the work I do and a lot of the work I do as far as trying to get different sides together is to prevent exactly that, because I think we are not so far from that. I think we're, pretty darn close, because people are so misinformed, ill-informed, and whatever, Johnny, that I think just like we talk about a mistaken nuclear war, we can have a mistaken civil war. I was on my coffee party board meeting last night, and we were talking about talking to the other side. And one of the things I said is, I talk to the other side a whole lot. And what is hurtful to me is that my Republican brothers and sisters, when I get away from the realm of all the talking points that they absorb, it's amazing how we all want the same darn thing. If we could just get around some of the rhetoric that is imposed on us by the plutocracy, if we could get some empathy into more folk, things would be a lot better. And I think as one of the things I want to do in life is to be one of those canvases or platforms to do that on. So having folks on the left and the right is actually helpful for that. But Johnny, anything else you want to add?
In other words, what you're saying is, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. For example, you don't ask people if they like Obamacare. You ask them if they like the Affordable Care Act.
Exactly. And not only that, you know what I even do sometimes? I ask them if it were under their control, what would they do? And when they give an answer, if they give an answer that was catered towards some of the right-wing talking points, I ask them to expand on it, because what you find with right-wing talking points is they are very shallow. When you go deep and beyond, it is usually unworkable. So I let them figure it is unworkable on their own. And after they figured, that's what happened with the person who wrote the immigration paper for me. He found out that, my God, if we don't start bringing people into this country, the country dies. And he realized, yes.
Now, even though I said it's not how you say what you say, but how you say it, that's not a license for people like Joe Donnelly and Heidi Heitkamp.
I am with
and the woman from Missouri whose name escapes me.
Yes.
For them to campaign as Republican friendly, because people won't vote for those people when they've got the real McCoy, so to speak, to vote for on their side.
Johnny?
And they alienate people on our side even further.
Johnny.
So where's the democracy? Where is the reaching out? And where's the true governance when people on our side project themselves to be rifle-toting, leather-wearing, root-and-toot and shoot 'em up? That's false. It's phony. And I would not vote for them, and I would not support them in any way.
I got to hold you right there, Johnny. I'm glad you said that, and I'm going to have to let you go because I got more calls to do. But let me tell you, thank you for saying that, because you're absolutely right. But I think Beto O'Rourke changed a whole lot of that, because Beto O'Rourke campaigned as a true progressive, and not in the beginning he wasn't as progressive as he was at the end, but he campaigned as a true progressive. And in doing so, what happened? Well,
his problem is he was half and half.
Yeah,
he's got to be full stop, and he's not full
well,
stop.
He
lost.
Hey, I gotta go.
I think the real reason why he really lost is because the voting machines, there are sufficient number of voting machines in this state that are fixed.
Okay,
and the only way to resolve that is if we have actual proof.
Gotta go. I got you. You're right. I got to go, but we'll talk later. Let's see. I want to go to Jonathan. Hey, Jonathan Greenberg. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
This is great to hear your voice. This is a guy who wrote that great piece for the Washington Post that really brought down Trump on that old tape that he had, right?
Trump is John Barron lying his way to get onto the Forbes 400. Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. That was
the only tape in existence of him actually, like speaking as something to just show what a fraud he was. The Daily Show keeps doing. I heard they repeated it the night before the election. Trevor Noah played the.
This is the guy, folks that are listening on KPFT right now. This is the guy who broke those tapes out. This is the guy who broke. How you doing, Jonathan?
I'm doing well, Egberto.
Talk to me.
I'm really liking your show.
Thank you, sir.
Listening to it. Just a few things to think about after the election.
Yes.
I'm so happy for Beto O'Rourke and what you're saying about him and the hope that it gives you. I've been reading some of the stuff you've posted and, his coattails and how he helped other people. And that's really, it's a good sign. I just want to, say there's some positive, and I like what I just heard about, by the way, about the issue of medical care, of medicine and finding common ground.
Right.
Just ask people, what do you think of your grandfather's or your father's Medicare? Do you think it would be better if he had private insurance? And then everything shifts.
Yes.
Yes. It's hard to so some silver lining for the election. I think the felony disenfranchisement vote in Florida one of the biggest things to happen in this in history. And I think it's more important even than whether Nelson or Gillum gets in. And I really supported Gillum. Nelson, you know, I just want to say about Nelson and Pelosi, if you look at their face and you hear them, are they the face of the future of the Democratic Party?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, and I looked at Pelosi on election night and I was like, what does this say to young people? So I want to say that the felony disenfranchisement, you know, over 1 million new voters are coming in. Do you know what that felony was, Egberto? Do you ever look at what a felony is in Florida, by the way?
No, I didn't.
22 grams of marijuana. Anything over 20 grams of marijuana, meaning an ounce, any ounce.
Wow.
So any poor guy who didn't have a lot of money, who wasn't, you know, Jeb Bush's daughter Noelle, who carried crack cocaine into a halfway house 2 times, and it was a private family matter.
Right.
But any dark-skinned people or person, you know, or person without powerful or wealthy parents who got busted with 1 ounce 50 freaking years ago, my friend, during the 60s, might have gone to jail for 1 year, 2 years, may have done 3 months if it was more recent. One thing they have in common, they could never vote again.
That is a shame. John, kind of wrap it up for me real quick, guys. I got 2 more calls I got to get in.
Okay. Florida. So that's going to be a lot of new voters. Florida won't be. The other good thing is that Maui, I just want to say I've been working on Maui County Council. There's young faces, the Maui Ohana majority, a, you know, pro-environmental, anti-plantation majority, 5-person majority, just won for the first time in history.
Hooray.
Against the Monsanto government. 6 out of 9 of them are women, and they're going to completely transform the future of agriculture on Hawaii. We've been fighting, people have been fighting there for years to try to bring a Native Hawaiian water protector, you know, post-Standing Rock sensibility, and it just passed. So there's good news coming from different parts of the country with young people with a new sense of what democracy stands for. And I think 2020 vision is going to come true.
Johnny,
and I look forward to talking to you more about it, Egberto.
Thank you, Johnny. And look, when you get a chance, man, I'm Jonathan. Hear me calling you Jonathan. Jonathan, when you get a chance, send me some of your new work so I can go ahead and cross-post to egbertowillies.com and politicsandright.com, all right?
Okay, will do.
Okay,
nice
brother.
Talking to you, Egberto.
Have a good one now. Take care. Okay, let's go. Línea número 4. Brad, come on in, Brad.
Hey.
Talk to me.
Hey, how many seasoned Democratic politicians here in Harris County are kicking themselves in the butt that they didn't run against Ed Emmett?
You know, I'm going to tell you one thing. I actually, at Netroots Nation, I spoke to a big one, a big fish at Netroots Nation that didn't. And I told that big fish, you should have.
They should. I think Ron Wilson. Remember Ron Wilson? Yeah. He should have just put his name up there. He would have probably got the nod. He would have. I mean, look what happened.
But Brad,
think it's funny.
Brad, Brad, I want stop. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I really want to get this out real quick because you don't have much time. But I am happy though for Lina Maria Hidalgo, and the reason why I'm happy for that is it's a woman. Yeah. She's young. It's a Latina, and I tell you one thing: she's very, very smart. And while she's will be inexperienced on the job, she'll bring new ideas and experiences. So I really don't have a problem that she won because it's a good way to get a young person in anyway. Because
and the best thing is she's cute.
Brad,
I'm just Brad. I get some real thing real quickly. When I was a punk ass teenager, it was so easy for me to go register to vote. Why do you think it's so difficult? I mean, I don't want to. People to hold, you know
the answer to that. I don't have to answer, brother.
It's easy to go register to vote, sir.
Yes,
and vote,
brother.
I was a teenager.
Right. We're gonna keep I'm gonna keep the pressure on, and you're gonna keep calling me. If you don't hear me, keep the pressure on. Hell, you keep calling me all the time. You have a good one, brother.
Okay.
Take care. All right. Bye bye. Okay, let's go. Línea número 2. Rita, come on in, Rita.
Yes. Hi. I wanted to let you know I did vote.
Thank you.
I called you earlier this year and said I would not vote because I was apathetic.
I remember you well, Rita.
My family to vote.
Thank you, and I do remember you, Rita.
And the other thing is, I just wanted to share when I saw Nancy Pelosi. Now I'm in my 50s, but I was furious because I was like, we need young. When I say young, I mean 50s, 40s, 30s.
Yes, yes.
20-year-olds. We need them to be the speaker.
Yes.
We need for the younger folks. Did you know She's 78 years old.
Yeah, she's almost 80.
She's my mom's age. Maxine Waters is my grandmother's age. You see what I'm saying?
Rita, you know something? You're so right. And I think a lot of these older people are Look, I'm 57 years old. Oh, why did I tell my age? And I'm with Indivisible. I'm with other groups. And I take a backseat position. I let these guys lead me. And the reason I let them lead me is because that's what they need to do. It's time for older folks to sit back and just be there as an experience to help them if they need some advice but you want the great ideas coming from them. You can help them with the ideas, but you want it coming from them.
Exactly, and that is what I wanted to share. Oh, one other thing. I want to share that I think Gillum quit too soon. He should have waited.
He sent out a press.
Wouldn't have heard it.
Yeah, he sent out a press release. He's back in the game.
Oh, he is.
Yes.
Thank goodness.
Yes.
Okay, because I noticed a lot of the Democrats pulled out with only 1 point or point whatever. And I was like, no, you stay in the game.
Rita, we always do that. Even Gore did that, if you remember back in the days.
Yes.
But
Gore
I got to go.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
No. I got to get one more call in, but thank you so kindly for calling, and thank you so kindly for voting. Okay, Rita?
Yes.
You have a great day now. Bye-bye. Okay, let's go. Gary, come on in. Last call.
Egberto.
My brother, how you doing?
Long time, amigo.
Yes, talk to me. You got 30 seconds.
Did you hear Madeleine Albright's speech in College Station on NPR?
No, sir. Tell me the quick synopsis in 10 seconds.
Here's the question. Do you know what synergy is?
Yes, I do.
2 heads are better than one.
Yes, sir.
Her point was reminded to me by you and Barry.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you, me, you, me. How about us? How about America? Hello. Thank you.
Okay.
Goodbye.
No, you didn't need to. I didn't want you to hang up yet, but I don't.
Okay.
Okay.
I won't.
Let me tell you why I said that. If you continuously listen to my show, you would know that I'm one of the only left-wing liberals out there that have a whole mass of Republicans, both as followers and that I engage them directly. So no, I don't just. It's not
But
for
that's
me.
what's wrong here. It's not. It's like Hutus and Tutsis, Germans and French.
Right.
All right. It's
brother.
not American. It's like Latino,
Brother.
Black, Jewish.
I gotta go.
Christian.
I gotta
How
go.
about being Americans like we used to be.
Thank you. All right. Hey, that was a good one there, Don. Folks, look, thank you so kindly for calling into the shows. Thank you so kindly for being a part of Politics Done Right. Thank you so kindly for having supported our radio station during our fund drive. Please remember that you don't have to wait for fund drives to support us. Please remember you can always go to kpft.org and support the radio station. This is real community radio. This is your station. This is your show. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And guess how I normally end this show? I go it this way. I am out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.